The Batfoot Podcast is starting in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the Batfoot Podcast. Dude, I got both of our names confused there. I put them into one.
We're on a great start.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's been something. Damian and David back with you today for this episode. We're going to try to limit this as much as we possibly can because I know people want to watch the national championship game for college football tonight. But there's not a ton of actual moves to go over, really. We have a little bit of small signings, interesting that, and then we have a little bit more discussion towards the end of it. We do have some quick flips episodes that we have done since the last one, Edward Cabrera, Alex Bregman, and then a big one that Matt and I did with Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, JT Realmuto. David, you weren't really on that one. So real quick, before we get into the other episode, I want to give you a little bit to just talk about those three moves for a little bit.
Kyle Tucker's a coward. JT Realmuto to the Phillies is something we all suggested. Glad they got that done. And Bo Bichette to the Mets is kind of fun. I'm very intrigued to see whether he can play third base or not. I think he can. I think he's probably a good enough fielder to play third base. And I think he's a bad shortstop, but still a good infielder, if that makes sense. So I'm excited to see if Bo Bichette can turn the changing of position around into a big-time long-term contract next offseason. And that's all I'll say about those three signings, I think.
Yeah, I thought you would be pretty boisterous about the first one there.
I'm not going to dedicate any time to it.
That's funny. All right, let's kind of get into the smaller signings that have had happen and then a couple interesting ones. So first one, channel legend, absolute GOAT, best player in MLB history, according to this guy right here. This isn't even a major league deal. It's a minor league deal, but it's a major deal for this podcast. And that is Nick Madrigal signing with the Angels on a minor league deal. So, of course, he's going to win the starting second base job over Christian Moore and all of the other ones there.
I'm sure.
And just take over. This is the help all along that Mike Trout needed to get to the playoffs. Right. Who else did he need? No,
not Ohtani.
Not Ohtani.
The one,
Nick Madrigal. That's the guy.
Look,
not Albert Pujols. Nick Madrigal.
Art Moreno is missing the opportunity to get you in the stadium 81 times next year so that Nick Madrigal will hit 600. Because we saw him have a 4-hit game at Wrigley Field a few years ago.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Art Moreno, Angels fans, if you want success next year, you should hire Damian to go to all the games.
That's what I'm saying. I'll even bring my jersey that I had custom made for it. We can tape a little Halo A over it. Mm-hmm. We'll just ignore the fact that the rest of the shirt's blue. But it'll be a vibe. I can help. Nick Madrigal, you should hire me to come to all the games for you. As your personal hype person. We'll get it done. All right, so the other interesting one is we had Andy Ibanez signed with the Dodgers on a 1-year, $1.2 million deal. Going to be an infield depth person because they don't have enough depth as it is there in LA.
Yeah, this is bench guy. Fine. Yeah.
I was just interested. It wasn't a split deal. It's a full guarantee deal, which I found interesting.
Yeah, the Dodgers have some very specific holes, right? The team is last year it was without that backup infielder. They were running Justin Dean out there in the outfield as the bench guy. The Dodgers bench wasn't all that interesting. Andy Ibanez just gives it a lot of stability, right? You can run that guy out anywhere. He'll give you 80 to 90 WRC plus. It means he gets some hits every now and again. He'll take some walks. He's okay. It's perfect for what the Dodgers need, which is that what if Mookie Betts is banged up one day and you need to run someone out there at shortstop? That's all. That's what this is.
Give you a bench bat versus lefties too. A couple other interesting ones. Let's talk about the couple Colorado signings in tandem here. Willie Castro to the Colorado Rockies, 2 years, $12.8 million, and then Michael Lorenzen as well for 1 year, $8 million.
Look, Willie Castro is definitely the best Cubs signing that former Cubs signing we've talked about so far. That guy was horrific after the deadline. He was really bad.
Dude.
What a better way to go and try to recoup some value for your career than go to Colorado, right? Like, I think Willie Castro could certainly improve that Colorado Rockies team. I liked the guy, and I liked the move when it was made, but my goodness, it was horrible.
It was just one of those where, like, dude, you change, and it's just. I mean, he had what, a 107 and a 106 WRC plus the 2 seasons before, and then a 109 the half season before that. He goes to the Cubs and he has 40 and a negative .54.
He would look. The Cubs have made worse. The Cubs have made worse trades. Jose Martinez comes to mind from the former Cardinal, Tampa Bay Ray, 0 for 20, and then they cut him. He was horrid. So there have been worse trades, but Willie Castro was up there in terms of, like, he wasn't even the worst trade the Cubs made at the deadline either, because Mike Soroka pitched like 4 innings. But
he pitched that many?
Yeah, it was not good. But I like Willie Castro, the Rockies. It's a great fit. Versatile. He's going to hit the ball. Like, he'll be fine. I just think he was maybe a little out of rhythm. I don't know, switching teams midseason, something like that. But give him Colorado is a perfect place for him to go recoup the value. Honestly, they might trade him again.
Yeah.
So he'll probably wind up back on a contender here, one of these deadlines, either this year or next year.
Yeah, the fact that it's a 2-year deal probably means next year, most likely. But and we're going to start our season previews here. Matt and I have already recorded the Rockies one, so we'll talk a little bit about Castro and Lorenzen in that one. I believe that's actually supposed to come out tomorrow morning. So if you're looking for that, pay attention there. But a little bit on Lorenzen, a guy who already in Kansas City this year gave up a 14% home run fly ball ratio, and now he's going to Coors. I think is going to work out fantastic.
The thing about Coors that you have to remember too is it's not that crazy for home runs, but it is crazy because that park is so big.
Yeah,
for those fly balls to drop in for doubles and triples.
Which I think they did a good job, because we'll talk about a trade here in a little bit. I mean, I guess we can just loop it in here. Yeah, it makes a little bit of sense. That will help a little bit, because they did trade for Jake McCarthy. Mm-hmm. We talked about that too as well. So Brenton Doyle, Jake McCarthy in a center field corner outfield spot. Those guys are fast. Jake McCarthy is about the fastest guy in baseball. That's going to help a lot, at least with the outfield defense a little bit. So it's just still, I mean, a guy who's already given up. I mean, Kansas City, we're going to talk about here in a little bit about what they did to their park to give more homers. And that was a pretty high rate in that ballpark last year. That doesn't seem great news going there.
The good thing about Lorenzen is he's the kind of guy that can go in. He's a veteran. He'll give him, even if the ERA is inflated because it's Coors, he'll give him a nice, steady 4 or 5 inning starts every time out. If they aren't going to be great starts, the team behind him isn't all that good. They probably won't win a whole lot of games. But Lorenzen's fine, and he'll most certainly be available at the deadline to go to a contender who needs pitching depth.
Yeah, I'll bet before that. I bet it's before the deadline even. Anyways, last little move that was an interesting one. Victor Caratini signed a 2-year, $14 million deal to become the backup catcher in Minnesota behind Ryan Jeffers. Caratini's the epitome of a backup catcher, basically.
I love Victor Caratini. Now we're at the best former Cubs signing here.
Nick Madrigal?
A lot of them in this one.
Yeah.
But Victor Caratini, he's been a great catcher, been a great backup catcher for Houston for a couple of years now, and formerly of the Cubs, Padres, Red Sox. Like, he's been all over the place at this point. Yeah. He's the kind of guy who sticks around in Major League Baseball because he's adept behind the dish, can hit 5-10 home runs as a backup catcher. He'll start for Ryan Jeffers. Makes a lot of sense. Like, the Twins are actually spending a little bit of money. Nice to see them having held on to Joe Ryan, Byron Buxton, and some of those guys we speculated were going to get traded. We'll see if they can't. They obviously need a lot more help, but Caratini's a good clubhouse guy.
Yeah, he'll give him a solid presence too behind Jeffers, and if anything happens, he'll be just fine there. Yes, we know, Adam, as the championship game's on, we're trying to blow through this.
My dad was texting me. He said Miami already punted. I don't have any further updates. But my dad's a Hoosiers fan, so we're rooting for the Hoosiers tonight.
There you go. All right, so let's get to we had 3 relievers signed this week as well, so we'll kind of group that in and we'll just talk a little bit about it. Ryne Stanek went to the St. Louis Cardinals, 1 year, $3.5 million. Tyler Kinley went back to the Braves on a 1 year, $4.25 million deal. And then Pierce Johnson went to the Reds on a 1 year, $6.5 million deal. So out of those 3 moves, which one is probably your favorite?
I like Tyler Kinley back to the Braves because the Braves got more out of him than I thought was in there. I think he was I'm double checking. I thought he was a Rocky before he was a Brave.
He was.
And he was a Rocky, but he was the kind of Rocky that was, I think, getting bit by the ballpark around him. And then last season, I mean, switched, when he got traded to the Braves mid-season, he had a .72 ERA.
Yeah.
The whiff went down a little bit, but I think that's a guy with a full offseason to build up in the group, the pitching dev group that is the Atlanta Braves, that'll just take off. He's the kind of guy he doesn't have any leverage innings either, but I think that's the kind of guy that grows into leverage in that Braves bullpen, which is already really, really strong with the signing of Robert Suarez and the re-signing of Raisel Iglesias. I mean, get Tyler Kinley in there too. That's a very formidable 7, 8, 9. And they replaced Pierce Johnson there too. I mean, it's an interesting signing, but it's a lot of money for a guy who, they already re-signed Emilio Pagan too. The Reds are so interesting, man.
They've done a lot to that bullpen.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about another one here in a later too.
They do that every year where, they add to the bullpen and then you get around to the middle of the season and the bullpen is bad.
Yeah.
And it happens every year. It's like, guys, this is why the Reds, we talk about, you need to spend money. I'm sure, I'm sure you guys can go back and listen to the quick flips where money was discussed this week. And I won't get into that, but I will get into that the Reds, are we going to mention the Ellie De La Cruz thing? We are not. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up right now. Ellie De La Cruz turned down an extension of $250-ish million with the Reds. I believe firmly that the Reds need to learn modern baseball because Ellie would never take that. It makes perfect sense to not take that. He's the kind of player with a 6+ WAR season under his belt. He'll get a massive deal if he hit free agency right now. So there's no reason for him to take a deal right now. And, to his belief, he's going to get even better. He's the kind of guy that has, a sky-high ceiling. If you're going to entice Ellie De La Cruz with a deal like that, the Reds needed to be in on taking this $6.5 million from Pierce Johnson and the $20 million on Emilio Pagan. They packaged that into like a Devin Williams, a big offer for a Devin Williams or Robert Suarez or one of those guys. Bring in a big name. You have to bring in some impact. Somebody that Ellie De La Cruz is going to want to stick around and play with.
Yeah.
And we talk about playing smart. You want to be smart. You want to make a good signing. Pierce Johnson is a good signing. Pierce Johnson is not going to change the outlook of the season of the Reds.
No.
And neither is re-signing Emilio Pagan. You could have translated that into something better. That's my take on this.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, you could have done something like the Julio Rodriguez deal, which was, hey, here's like a base of 200 and something, but here's all the escalators that could take it up well above, I think the Julio Rodriguez was up to 450 or 470 or something like that. Escalators. Man. I believe.
I like that.
I think it had all the escalators where if you hit all this, it can reach that, but it's a 220. Let me look that up real quick. Because I remember someone talked about it. So it was a $210 million, but it has a potential max value of 470.
Wow.
So, and they had that weird team option in 2030 that gave him 5 more seasons after at 18 million per year or something like that. But there's looking at it. Yeah. Baseline MVP votes. So if you get at top 10, it's 8 for 200, 2 top 10s is 8 for 240, 4 top 10s is 8 for 260. Wow. And then you win it, it goes up, top 5 votes. There's all that kind of different stuff. And then you get bonuses for MVPs and silver sluggers and all that. If you're the Reds, you can give Ellie something like that to where it's hey, we think the 250 mark, hey, 250, here's that. It's the biggest extension in Reds history or biggest contract in Reds history. But then it can reach up to this number with all of this stuff. You're still 24 years old. I think it's a 12-year deal for Julio. It could be a 12-year deal there, and you're looking through age 36. It'd be just fine.
Yeah. I think the issue, of course, that the Reds are going to run into is that age. Ellie's 24. He's fully aware that when 27-year-olds hit the free agent market, they're setting records.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's going to be the problem.
Yeah.
But if also here's the thing we'll have plenty of talk about this later on next in the stuff. Would you lock that contract in now, not knowing what the CBA is going to be? Is there going to be a salary cap and salary floor? Because you lock that in, that's a guaranteed deal.
Right.
So
I mean,
there is worth that. We'll get into plenty of that talk.
Right.
Down in next offseason, most likely. We'll have a little bit more later on another topic of the guy's hat that I'm wearing right now, or that team, because it's a pretty hot topic there as well. So, all right, let's move over to the one big signing we did have happen, and that was Ranger Suárez to the Boston Red Sox, 5 years, $130 million. I think this was Sunday after Alex Bregman signed on Saturday. I want to say that they brought in Ranger Suárez. Look, I think if looking back at our predictions, if I believe we all had the Red Sox trying to get some pitching. Don't remember who I actually had them going. I know it wasn't Framber, but we did say they needed some pitching. They got Sonny Gray. I think Framber is a decent number 3 guy to throw right behind those guys.
It's Ranger, not Framber.
Or
I know there's two Suarez, Valdez. There's another Suarez third baseman out there.
They're both lefties. They throw kind of similar. Ranger Suárez. I think I had them going Framber. I think that's why I'm messed up. But anyways, it was basically a pivot. But I think Ranger going in there is that number 3 starter behind Crochet and Sonny Gray. I think is a decent fit. They could even go get a different guy if they really wanted to move Ranger down some. But what were you thinking about this one?
Yeah, I like it. It's one of those things where we talked in depth in the Alex Bregman quick flips about what this means for the Red Sox and why would they not give the few extra things in order to bring Bregman back. It does give me pause, right? That they were kind of reactionary to go out and pay Ranger Suárez. He's got some rumored injury issues. You've also got some, his velocity is not terribly high, but now he's a high dollar pitcher, right? They need him to be good for the next couple of seasons at least, and to get the right value out of this deal. This kind of reminds me of that Robbie Ray deal when Robbie Ray and Kevin Gausman signed really good deals after, when I think they both won a Cy Young, or Ray won a Cy Young, Gausman was really good, and they both signed real similar deals in this 5-year range. Ray blew his elbow out and missed some time in that deal. And Gausman has been one of the best signings of the last 10 years for the Jays. So it's I think, that kind of is the range of outcomes, right? It's, he'll be good, but he'll miss some time, and you'll be disappointed that he missed time, or he'll be really really solid signing over as he ages, because Kevin Gausman's not overpowering. He throws 94, 95, but he's off. He's got off speed. He starts every game. Yeah. he's just kind of this perfect ace caliber pitcher. Can Ranger Suárez go out there and start every game and overcome that kind of narrative on his back? And he was pretty good against the Dodgers in the playoffs. Yeah. So this is a good pitcher. It wasn't the pitcher I wanted my team to go get, but that's because my team is a bunch of soft tossers already. It's it's perfect. He comes after Crochet.
Yeah, he's throwing 90, 91 miles an hour, basically Ranger does now. But like you mentioned, he's never had a season where he's made 30 starts in his career. So it is, only 3, he's had 3 seasons over 150, but it is worth a risk, or it is a risk, I should say. But he is a great postseason pitcher, as you were mentioning. 42 innings, he has a 1.48 ERA in the postseason. Looking at it, I had them getting Shane Bieber, the Red Sox. You had the Red Sox getting Framber, actually.
Right.
But I
had the Giants.
Yeah, I had 5 for 145. You had 6 for 185, and then Matt had Cubs for 5 for 130. So he nailed the contract right on there. But yeah, I think Ranger's solid. I think he fits in just fine as a 3 to 4. This contract's probably a 2 to 3 contract, but that's what happens when you get to free agency and top guys go and stuff. So I wouldn't even be surprised with the Red Sox. They haven't made that trade yet either. of one of their guys. They have a bunch of pitching depth now. They have still all their outfielders. They even have a backup first baseman now in Tristan Casas since they got Contreras. Someone might value him still. They could go make another trade for a decent starting pitcher. And there's all the rumors around Freddie Peralta at the moment, so that could be a name to watch as well.
I don't know how much that I don't know how much they need another starter as much as they need.
I think they need another high end starter.
I gotcha. I mean, they did also make the trade for Oviedo too.
I mean,
I know you don't like
my thought about Oviedo, but I mean, you're looking at right now. It's Crochet, Ranger Suárez, Sonny Gray, and then your Bayo, Oviedo, and then all the young guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like going into a postseason, we see you need another top guy, and Crochet he's great, but he's starting to rack up the innings. I mean, he had 205 innings this year. That was a guy who already had elbow concerns before. Sonny Gray has had his own injuries history as well. So
Crochet's the kind of guy. If he did that, I don't know that I can predict that Crochet will blow out. I think
you can't predict it, but you can't predict that he'll stay healthy either.
He'll throw 200 innings at 99 mile an hour until that arm explodes.
Well, that's my point. It could explode.
He'd probably go out there even with it exploded.
You just never know with pitching injuries. Yeah. So I would like to have another guy who could be a decent level in there for you. Just given in all that the risk with all of those names there. Overall, I think it's still a great deal though.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the trades now. We had a couple bigger trades. We finally got our Nolan Arenado trade after 2+ years of rumors. And no, he did not go to the Dodgers after all of this time of people saying he's going to come home. No, he wasn't. But he is going out west. He's going to Arizona. So the St. Louis Cardinals acquire right-handed pitcher Jack Martinez for Nolan Arenado, and then they send $31 million to Arizona to cover the rest of his he's owed $42 million throughout the rest of his deal. And that would be what they owe him $11 million now in total. After all those years of rumors there, we finally get the trade. There was the deal he had lined up with Houston, I think last offseason or something. There was another deal, I forget who it was with, that he declined to go to as well. Looks like we've lost David here right now, so I'm just going to keep going. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was the Angels potentially that deal was supposed to go to, but Nolan Arenado has really fallen off as a hitter. I mean, last year he had an 84 WRC plus, only a .9 WAR. The fielding has taken a little bit. He's still a great fielder, but it's not the prime Nolan Arenado level fielding anymore as he's entering his age 35 season this year. So, David, what do you think about the Arenado trade that we finally got after all these years?
Left, came back, had a whole thing.
Yeah.
We're good. I'm back. Yes, it's funny that the Arenado deal has finally happened, and that it didn't work out. I think the Cardinals wanted to have Arenado for the rest of his career, but the way things have trended for this St. Louis baseball team has been, much to my pleasure, not great. It's not been great, and being able to get anything of substance and get out from the money is a pure win for the Cardinals. Like, Arenado is probably in Arizona, indoors, he's probably fine. Remember when Evan Longoria went there at like age 37 and had a pretty good year?
Yeah.
I think you can probably get that, league average-ish bat. Like you said, decent defense at third base. It's not anything to be expected of Arizona here, but they can hit Arenado 7th, let him chase some stats for the remainder of the deal. Like, it's fine. They don't have to go re-sign Eugenio Suarez now. It works. It's not special. It's not going to be super impactful, but they'll sell some jerseys, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you're in the NL West, which is obviously an arms race at the moment with all of these teams kind of loading up. You got to do a little bit of something, right? They've said so far they're going to retain Ketel Marte. Now, if a team actually comes with a big offer, let's see if that actually happens. But I mean, this is a team who they have had holes. I'm not sure that third base exactly was the one hole that you probably needed to go for, but you gotta name at least. I think you probably need to do some more stuff in the pitching staff, but hey, maybe you get the bounce back from Arenado, and you're only paying $11 million over 2 years for it anyways, so it's not really that big of a risk. Okay, real quick trade. Atlanta, Tampa Bay. Basically, this is just a name thing. Ken Waldichuk and Brett Wisely got to Tampa Bay for a player to be named later in cash. Waldichuk was a big piece in, was that the Murphy trade? Or the...
No, it went for the Yankees. So it was...
it was...
Montes.
Montes.
Frankie
So
Montes.
I got him confused because he was in Atlanta right now over there. My apologies. Anyways, not talking too much about that one. Because the other two trades that we do have were kind of very interesting. Out of nowhere, we were talking about before about the Miami Marlins if they were going to continue trading more pitching after the Edward Cabrera trade. There was all the rumors, or for the past couple of years, there's been the rumors of potentially Sandy. Didn't ever seem like that was too particularly close. But now they traded Ryan Weathers, who was a guy that they got in the what move was that? It wasn't the Luis Arias move. It was the...
That's another Padres one. I think it was Arias.
I don't think it was.
Is it a reliever?
It was for Garrett Cooper. That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Garrett Cooper and Sean Reynolds were referred to Miami for Ryan Weathers. Anyways, Ryan Weathers got traded to the New York Yankees now for a prospect group of outfielder Dylan Lewis, outfielder Brendan Jones, infielder Dylan Josso, and infielder Juan Mathis. Looks like Dylan Lewis is probably the big name here. He's a 22-year-old outfield prospect. Was at high A for the Yankees this year, had a 121 WRC plus. Only batted 228, but slugged a decent amount there. So overall, I mean, he's fine, but it seems like you probably could have got a little bit more for Ryan Weathers the way prices have been going, but he's also a bigger risk because he's never really thrown a substantial amount of innings. His career high in innings is 94 in 2021, and with Miami, it was 86 in 2024. This is a guy who we highlighted as a breakout candidate last offseason. I think I did, actually. Mm-hmm. He threw 38 innings, so
yeah. They were good innings, but I mean, yeah, the issue for Ryan Weathers is absolutely the durability. I think this package reflects the risk, not dissimilarly to the Edward Cabrera risk, where Cabrera has at least put together a couple of seasons that are closer to full, but Weathers has simply just not been healthy, like at all.
Right.
And there's talent there, there's immense talent there. There's 90 some odd, 97 or something from the left side, but. For like kind of lottery ticket style hitting prospects for the Marlins who just desperately need hitting prospects in their organization. And that's why, they targeted 3 hitters from the Cubs. Owen Casey obviously can jump right on the major league roster, but I think of the Edgardo De Leon from the Cubs. He's just a hitter. He's a guy who just he's a hitter. They don't have a position for him. I think this is kind of the same target. They just need some hitters to break out in this organization because it's just not been there for the last several seasons. I think this means they keep Sandy. They had told him he wasn't going to get traded, and it was always kind of a mystery to me that he was even being rumored because it was like, well, I guess the Marlins could be really scummy, and we wouldn't necessarily put it past them, but they did say he wasn't getting traded. Then they went and traded 2 different guys, injury-prone guys, might I add.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it had been the concerns of the bounce back for Sandy, who didn't look great at the beginning of the last year. As the season went on, looked a little bit better, but still you could probably bounce back, and he still has some control. You can get more later for him. But it was a really weird deal when it happened because I think the Yankees needed some more, I think Weathers has all the talent in the world, but they need a little bit more of a sure thing. With Garrett Cole coming back from Tommy John surgery, Rodon's going to be out to start the season. I think Clark Schmidt's coming back from injury. Yeah, there's just a ton of right now you're going to be relying on. I mean, Max Fried was great last year, but there was a lot of concern about his elbow as well. And then you're like Cam Schlittler and Will Warren, Luis Heel. I feel like you probably could have dealt with a little bit more of a known, but high upside with Ryan Weathers if you can keep him healthy. All right, so we had a 3-team deal that broke at the exact same time that the Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers news broke, so it went really under the radar for a lot of people, and that was the Los Angeles Angels acquiring Josh Lowe from the Tampa Bay Rays. where the Rays acquire Gavin Lux and Chris Clark from the Cincinnati Reds, and the Angels send left-handed pitcher Brock Burke, relief pitcher, to the Cincinnati Reds. This is what I was hinting at earlier with the when we were talking about Pierce Johnson. They did something else. I'm a big fan of Brock Burke. I think this is a very interesting deal. Josh Lowe, the Angels needed another outfielder after trading Taylor Ward. He's had he had one good season in 2023. 2024 was a 98 WRC plus, and then 2025 was a negative 0.1 WAR. He's something, I guess. Maybe the Angels can find a bounce back there. And then Gavin Lux turned himself into a pretty solid, major league average utility guy last year. So the Rays always like to like those guys. And I'm not sure too much about Chris Clark, but if the Rays acquired him, that means he's going to be very good.
And not necessarily, but I guess I don't know what the Reds are doing in this deal. I guess I feel like you mentioned Lux. I feel like Lux was okay, and they traded Brady Singer for him. No, they traded him for Brady Singer. Right?
That was Mike Sirota and a pick.
That was a different one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they still got Gavin Lux on the team, and there's this dearth of infielders over there with the Reds. We're talking about the Reds again. I'm just not sure what they're doing in this deal. Now, Josh Lowe for Brock Burke is awfully interesting because it does signal that the Rays feel like they have outfield sorted. I don't know. They did sign Cedric Mullins earlier in the offseason,
and Jake Fraley, right?
I really liked Josh Lowe, and he's still really young. He's still got a couple of years of control. This seems like a really good move for the Angels. I love this deal for the Angels. I honestly really like this offseason for the Angels too. They managed to turn Taylor Ward into Grayson Rodriguez, and then you send off Brock Burke, but you get back Josh Lowe. Now that's one of your outfield starters.
Yeah, probably slots into left field for him right away.
Feels like a really, really good move to grab a guy who's been he's been good enough, but he's also playing. They've changed locations 2 years in a row, and it's not the Rays' fault, but I feel like the instability has kind of hurt Josh Lowe, but the talent is still there. And I like this deal from the Angels' perspective the most of anybody. And Lux is fine still, but the Rays are the Rays. They're always going to seek out value wherever they can get it. If they feel like Gavin Lux is better than Josh Lowe right now, then fine. Maybe they just want to shuffle that production to the infield, basically.
Yeah, I think it just fits the team a little bit better because they have Johnny DeLuca. They got Justin Henry Malloy too, which is another very Rays type pick for an outfield DH solution. Gavin Lux kind of takes over the second base role now that Brandon Lowe was traded. Just kind of fits in as a starting second baseman there. So they had a ton of outfielders. Josh Lowe could never really stay healthy, so makes sense. All right, that's all of the actual official moves we've had happen. A lot of other stuff to talk about, though. First, let's start with Tarik Skubal and the arbitration. I want to say argument. That's how I have it here, but the arbitration shenanigans that are going down there with the Detroit Tigers and Tarik Skubal. So Skubal filed at $32 million for arbitration. Pirates. The Tigers did it at 19.3 or something like that. And I think their last actual offer was 19.8 before Scott Boras was like, all right, we're not doing anything here. We're just going to shut down negotiations and then go to arbitration. I mean, if you're not willing to pay the back-to-back Cy Young Award winner more than $20 million on his last year of team control, what are we doing, Detroit? You need to either pay him or you need to trade him because this is ridiculous. The same thing happened with the Brewers and Corbin Burns. They lowballed him, and then they ended up having to trade him away, and they got a little bit more value because they knew they weren't going to pay him. I mean, he went back-to-back Cy Youngs, and you're offering him $19 million.
The Tigers paid David Price more in arbitration 10 years ago. Then David Price is a really darn good pitcher, man. He made the Hall of Fame ballot a couple years back. He will be on the Hall of Fame ballot in a couple of years, one of the two. But I mean,
so here's the thing. I even give the David Price thing. I think the dad Illich was still alive. I think he was Mike or Mitch. This is the kids now.
Right. Yes.
Now, might not like it, but I think this ownership group paid Javier Baez 23.3 in free agency. I don't care. You pay the guy who's won back-to-back Cy Youngs.
Right. Well, you'll even look at so obviously Skubal and Boris are looking to set the record for most money in an arbitration case, which I mean, I think you and I would agree he probably should get that. He should probably set that record. 2 consecutive Cy Young seasons, carrying Detroit into the playoffs last year. I don't know, man. I think this is just unnecessary, right? It's unnecessary drama. And even let's say, okay, so say Boris was firm at 31 or whatever it was that the record was at. I think Soto got 30.5 or something. So 31. How on earth is this number not 25 million or 26 million for Tarik Skubal?
How is it just under 20?
I think if you brought 25 million to the arbitrators and brought some number of salaries of top starting pitchers and said, here's what they are, and Skubal says 32, they probably side with you.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here going, I think they're going to side with Skubal.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay this anyway. Why weren't you filing in a number that was fair and reasonable? All the Skubal team has to do here is point out that the Tigers have given more to a starting pitcher who was not as good as this starting pitcher in arbitration before. That's all they have to do. And any sane person, no matter if you know baseball or not, you're sitting there going, this team has given more money to a worse player in this process. What? You have to give them more. That's the end of the line. I feel like it's just a complete misuse of the arbitration process. Where
it absolutely is.
You're trying to find that happy medium to pay the player before they get to free agency. There's obviously friction going to be there between players and free. 6th year, you've been through arbitration twice. You're ready to go be a free agent, but especially for Skubal's case, health is a huge factor. He needs to get paid now because what if it all goes away very quickly? We've seen that happen before. I think that Skubal is entirely justified to ask for this number. Now, I think my biggest issue with this is not that the Tigers undersold it and went to arbitration, because that is perfectly reasonable for teams to do. But this is such a gap. How were you not negotiating in the $25-26 million range? Yeah. Because at that point, you probably work out a deal before arbitration even hits. You probably say, okay, 28 million, Cy Young escalators take us up to 32. Done. Yeah. There you go. And it protects you against getting injured this season. And we go in and we try to win a World Series in 2026 before you hit a free agency. It's very, very straightforward. But the fact that we are not at that point makes things so bad. And that's where trading him does make some sense. If you think he's only worth $19 million, teams are going to pay you the amount to get to $30 million. Yeah. They want that.
Well, and we've already heard the stuff of well, if he wins this arbitration settlement, then they're going to have to trade him. And it's what are we doing? They should just trade him now, because this is ridiculous. I think some team will try to avoid the arbitration stuff, but at this point, you're just going to let it go until that and see what you're trading for. I just don't see how you're letting this ride for the rest of the year.
I think you will.
I don't think you will.
The issue, maybe one thing, obviously we talked about Boris, right? Boris has been a little bit
my problem is
prickly this year.
Let me here real quick and I'll wrap this up. My problem is if you are this far off right now, then you're not signing him next offseason. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to just get a comp pick for him. That comp pick is a lot of wasted value. One comp pick for Tarik Skubal is a lot of wasted value to you. If you know you're not going to pay him, you already don't want to pay him right now, then once you go to this arbitration meeting, I guarantee he's not coming back, because that's going to burn the whole bridge. You might as well trade him now.
I think there is still value in keeping him for 2026. I don't think it matters whether he's terribly happy about the contract. He's still going to get paid $20 million. Like
it's about your future. You're giving up a ton of extra value there if you just let Tarik Skubal walk away from your team for one comp pick.
We've seen the Tarik Skubal led Tigers, even as they are, which is not a perfect team and they needed to make better moves this offseason. I think we will likely give their offseason grade a poor grade in our summary. I believe that even a team that contains this pitcher is going to be a playoff contender and a World Series contender simply because of the presence of this pitcher in the playoff series. He is just that good.
I don't agree. I don't think this team can compete against the Blue Jays right now. I don't think this team can compete against other teams at this moment.
They took the Mariners to game 5.
Yeah, but they've got worse. And the thing is what's your future?
They're bringing up a top 5 prospect though that can really hit.
Your future after this year will be significantly worse if you just let Skubal walk in free agency. And we disagree. We can. We'll talk about this. We'll have plenty of discussion on the Tarik Skubal trade episode when it happens. All right. So a couple other things. Hall of Fame announcement is tomorrow. We'll see who is the new Hall of Famers. The last time I looked at the tracker before it got taken down was Beltran and I think Andrew Jones were the only 2 trending in the right direction for so far. And that's even without the private votes, which tend to bring those down a lot more. I think it's going to be very close on Jones was, I think, 84%. And I think
they usually use 10%.
Yeah, it's really close. And Beltran was, I think, 88 when I looked. You looked yesterday. So it's going to be very close for those 2 about getting in. Everyone else was pretty down significantly.
You'll like this one. I think Chase Utley should be in the Hall of Fame for sure. And I cannot believe he doesn't get more credit for being the best second baseman of all time. I mean, him and Jeff Kent. Like
they could both go in at the same year. There's a lot of people. I mean, Bobby Abreu I think he's at like 36% of the vote. Like, what are we doing?
What do you know what King Felix is at? Because
I don't remember. It was not high. I think it was in the 30s.
As long as he's still on the ballot, I'm okay. We'll build a boat, make a case for King Felix down the road. That's fine. Yeah. As long as he's getting some votes.
All right. So a couple pieces of news as well. Clayton Kershaw has announced that he will pitch for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. Let's go. The GOAT is back.
Participation trophies.
That's toxic. You're toxic right there. I get to say that I saw Clayton Kershaw pitch in the year 2026, so I'll be fine with it. It's my GOAT. And then the other kind of more interesting part to it is that NBC obviously is coming back with Sunday Night Baseball this year. They've targeted Clayton Kershaw as a potential studio analyst for that, like a lead studio analyst for that. So that'll be a great thing too. He's very good whenever he's done TV with LA. I think it would be fantastic on that broadcast. Max Kepler was suspended 80 games for PEDs. And if you knew Max Kepler's 2025 season, you would say, I didn't know that was possible. That's pretty interesting. One thing is that he'll have to sign with the team actually to those 80 games to start being suspended. So I don't know, maybe he like tries to convince the Rockies to give him like a $1 million deal so he counts those 80 games and then, he'll be ineligible for the postseason, but we wouldn't have to worry about that anyways. Who knows? Maybe the Rockies doing something. Anyways, Cubs legend Ryan Presley retired along with and then he joins the Twins front office alongside Michael A. Taylor, who has also joined the Twins front office as an outfield assistant or something. So those are 2 kind of interesting ones. Presley going back to the Twins, where he spent some time as well.
I've forgotten Presley was a Twin. Thought of him as an Astro, but good for him. He didn't work out, but I liked the guy. So
yeah,
waived a no trade clause to go to the Cubs. Thought that was cool.
Had a solid career. The Royals are moving in the power alley fences in by 10 feet and lowering the wall height. So center field is going to stay the same. And then I believe it's from the gaps over to the corners, I believe, are all coming in 10 feet and lowering the wall height as well. Vinny Pasquantino is pretty happy about this. If you follow him on Twitter, he's a great follow. You very should. I think someone said that he would have like 39 homers or something with the new dimensions this last year, which would be pretty great. But, I mean, Kauffman's always been a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. This is a way to kind of help that offense. I'm sure Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez and everyone's going to love this.
I was just going to say my Bobby Witt Jr. for MVP narrative is about to shift another gear up. We're about to go to fifth gear finally. That guy has been insane the last 2 years. And it's one of those where, 10 home runs really kind of was the difference for Bobby Witt Jr. between winning an MVP and not these last couple of seasons, or at least being in the conversation where, he just wasn't, because he was playing spectacular shortstop defense, being an all-around great player, but unable to crest the hump of, where Aaron Judge is setting best season of all time type records. Right. So is Cal Raleigh this last year. And getting Bobby Witt Jr. into like the 40-40 club, something like that, that could really, give him the juice to go out and grab an MVP.
Yeah, potentially. So the last piece of news is, and if you're wondering why Matt's not here, it's because he's probably crying somewhere about Ha Seong Kim falling on ice in Korea and tearing a tendon in his finger and having to have surgery. And he's going to be out 4 to 5 months due to that. So probably somewhere around the trade deadline-ish, maybe June. Depends on how that recovery comes, but those hand injuries are always something that take a little bit extra to come back from. But in the meantime, the Braves did sign Jorge Mateo today to a 1-year deal. We aren't sure the value on that deal, but can't assume it's too much. Probably Mauricio Dubon would probably be the full-time shortstop, and then Mateo becomes a backup there. But this is a big loss for the Braves because Kim was pretty good in his short stint there after getting traded.
He's just had some major injury problems, man.
Yeah.
It's tough.
What a freak injury, too.
Yeah. Is his deal a straight 1-year deal?
I think so. I think it's just 1 for 20.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say I wasn't sure if it was a 2 with an opt out, but yeah, I think it's a straight 1-year deal.
I said he was really good. He only had a 91 WRC plus, so
he was fine.
I thought
it's better what the Braves were running out there before.
It was Nick Allen. Maybe that's why I thought he was really good, but he's had some decent seasons. But anyways, it's a big loss for the Braves, who are trying to come back into competitive landscape this year. So anyways, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Bat Flip podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on this video. Help us out. We're at 158 subscribers right now. Last time I checked, 90% of people watching our videos are not subscribed. So just go hit the subscribe button. It's not that hard. Helps us out a ton anyways. So thank you guys for tuning in. Go enjoy the national championship game. We'll see you guys back in a couple weeks.